everybody, and welcome to the final Wheel Review, where we take a look at major Hollywood releases and let you know if it's worth your time, money, and patience. And there's no bigger movie to look at this year than Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Two of my guests here, my regular pal comes on the show a lot, Mr. Bryan Porter.
Hello.
He has a lightsaber with him.
I do have a lightsaber. It's my prized possession. I love it.
Yes. And our engineer here, we have Heather Penn.
Hello.
She saw the movie last night as well, and we're taping this the day after, so we're still on the Star Wars hangover here.
Yes, we are.
So yeah, let's start with general, like the overall feeling you guys get from this movie. We'll start with Heather. What do you think of The Force Awakens overall?
Overall, I actually liked it a lot. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so if I were to base it as a movie just on its own, I thought it was entertaining. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters. If I were to base it on the series, it was an interesting fit, and I understand probably why they did some of the things that they did in order to put it within the complete story from the series.
Okay. Porter, what do you think overall of the movie?
Overall, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. It was just a really good movie. Like she said, as a regular movie, it was great. But then you put it into the Star Wars universe. It was a little different. It had a little bit more goof than I thought it was going to be. A little bit more comedy, which was great. I think it worked well with the characters. Yeah. And overall, I just liked the general tone of the movie, how it fit in with the rest of the other movies. And I think it worked really, really well for this new day and age of movies and how they're going to take the narrative.
Right. My thoughts on it, it was definitely a different kind of Star Wars movie. It was the same but different. I mean, I think that's kind of what they were going for. From the beginning, the tone was I didn't get a handle on it until a quarter of the way through.
Yeah.
But it still has without we're going to try not to do as many spoilers as possible. There are big things that happen in the movie that people have been going online and spoiling and stuff. We're not going to do that. We're going to go as under the radar as we can with this, be as broad as we can. But big things happen in the movie, and with respect to that, I can't say too much about some of that stuff, but there are unexpected moments. There are moments that follow what you think the original Star Wars trilogy was. I think that this movie has a very similar structure to A New Hope, and we were talking about that earlier. Mm-hmm. How do you think it connects to A New Hope in terms of the story structure?
Well, I understand that it's basically, and this is not necessarily a spoiler at all, it's a new generation.
Yeah.
So they're definitely trying to focus on, I think with audience, a new generation in terms of new people watching it, and establishing that. But at the same time, we all know that the main characters that we all know and adore and love are older, and so there is a new generation. And so you kind of have to establish where they're at and how that story intertwines with the previous stories. And so I think they bring that together well. And I do think that they captured, if you were to give an example of New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, kind of along those genres of the story, I think they try to encapsulate that in this one altogether so they can move the story along, which I actually really liked because there's a lot of story there.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Blair?
I thought there was a good amount of parallels between the originals and this one, with Poe and BB-8,
right? And
putting that that file card or whatever it was into BB-8. You need to get out of here. It's very Leia and R2-D2, and I think it worked really well. There was a lot of stuff that I saw that I could totally see that Abrams was I'm kind of plucking this from the originals and I'm putting it in here in this new spin. And like you said, with the new generation, it's it was interesting to see them and then how they acted with the original characters. And granted, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the original characters, but we can't really have it. This isn't their movie.
Right.
They're supporting actors, and so we need to focus on the other ones, which I thought that both the new actors were amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going to go into next. Who plays Rey? Ridley?
Yeah, Ridley.
I can't remember her first name, but she's probably she's the centerpiece of the movie, basically. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are raving about her performance.
It was actually her first movie, she said.
Her first feature film, yeah.
No, wow, she did an amazing job.
She was
That's
great.
her first, for sure.
Yeah, she's amazing. John Boyega plays Finn. Who's awesome in the movie too.
He's British, by the way. You wouldn't think so.
He's British?
Yeah, he's British. His American accent or whatever accent he had in the movie was absolutely fantastic. He's British.
Wow. That's funny. Okay.
Clearly, he must be very good.
Yeah, I know. I didn't
know.
didn't even notice that. Wow. But what did you guys think of Finn and Rey, the new characters? Heather, what did you think of them?
I liked them as new characters. I think they give a youthfulness, clearly, that the series needs. And I think, though, they were still their own characters. They weren't necessarily mirrors of previous characters. They had elements of that. I think the whole Star Wars series in its own right has those elements that tie it all together and make it very connected. But I do find that those characters stood on their own. And I liked that they were different and their strengths were different in comparison to the old movies. You know, Finn had that goofiness about him and in his own right, and he comes from a place that is interesting. I won't say too much.
Yeah.
And Rey's character, I think she did an amazing job, obviously as an actress, but also as her own character and what her strengths were, which from a female perspective, I thought was very positive and very strong.
So what did you think of Finn and Rey? Like,
I thought they were great. Finn was really funny, but he also had really good serious moments.
Yeah.
And he was
intense throughout a lot of the movie.
Like, I loved the way he was, like, when he was with Poe, yelling at Poe, like, "Are you kidding me?" And then with, Rey on the ship, and he's really funny, but then he also had really good character moments, deep character moments. And his story arc was really interesting. I see some Han Solo parallels in there.
Yeah, definitely.
As far as, from where he started to how he ended up in the movie, and same thing with Solo.
Right.
And then Rey was really good. I liked how we didn't really know too much about her. We still don't really know too much about her past and all that. We get some inklings. And she was very good. I thought her character aspects and traits were, really awesome. They fit her personally, and she had really good physicality in the movie. And I thought that she really was able to capture... the one thing I can't really say, but she did well at one thing. Yeah.
She did good.
She did good.
Poe Dameron's another new character that I think a lot of fans are going to like.
I liked him.
Yeah, Poe Dameron is a really cool character. He's an X-Wing pilot.
Best pilot in the Rebellion, they were saying.
Or what is called the Resistance.
Resistance, yeah.
Right.
So what did you guys think of Poe Dameron?
I thought I really enjoyed his character. I thought he was extremely strong. Especially in terms of him being a fighter.
Yeah.
They didn't focus too much on that in the other series, before. I mean, obviously, yes, we all know that Luke Skywalker, was a fighter, but he's playing a bigger role. And I liked that he exuded a confidence, which was pleasant to see compared to all the other characters in the past. And I know I'm doing a lot of comparison with the past, but I do. He was.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they wanted to.
Right, I think so too. But the confidence that he exuded and his flow throughout the movie, I really, really enjoyed very much.
Right. So Poe, I mean, I think he brought like a different personality type that mixed in well with everybody else, I think.
Yeah.
So he was kind of unique in that aspect. I think he might be a fan favorite, and maybe he'll get a bigger part in the next movie. Who knows?
I really hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so. I think he was really good, well utilized. I liked his character. I liked his talents. How he did with I can fly anything and this and that, and he's just kind of cocky, but just not super cocky, but just sure of himself. He knows what he can do.
He's likable.
Yeah.
That's more than
yes,
likable.
Definitely.
And I really liked
his
interactions with the one person. I don't know if I could say.
I did. Well, no, just go watch the movie for that. But I mean, I think he'll probably be one of the fan favorites coming out of this movie. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about Kylo Ren. So we can't give too much away about this character. From the trailers and stuff, you can guess. He's kind of the villain of of this movie, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
But he has a really unique parallel to past villains, we could say, just in his attitude and his demeanor and just how you think things are going to go, but they don't go with him. So it's kind of upsetting expectations. Not in a bad way, just like it's different. It's again like new and old.
Right.
So what did you guys think of Kylo Ren? I thought he was really intimidating. Adam Driver did really well, I thought.
I thought he played the character very, very well. The nuances as an actor that he gave to that character, I thought were fantastic.
Yeah.
And they were very subtle. So if you pay really close attention, which that character and the way they shot it and the way they have developed that storyline, I really do think you have to pay attention to those nuances to really catch it, and then it throws you, which is actually a really nice twist into the story. I really enjoyed his character. I certainly don't want to give too much away, but it's the nuances. It's the nuances you should pay attention to as a viewer.
Yeah, mask on. It was really, really good. I loved his voice. I thought it was really well. You got some parallels from other characters, obviously. Just by looking at him, you can kind of see certain aspects of other characters.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily know the motivations, but you can guess just from the trailers. And I thought he was a really strong character. I was unexpected in certain aspects of the character later on in the film. Not like the big thing that you would be thinking of. When you see it, you'll know. But there was like just one thing. Can I talk about like his mask or whatever? Or
yeah, we can talk about his mask.
Can I talk about
the mask coming off?
Yeah.
Or go ahead.
Well, he takes his mask off, and
That's not really saying too much.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
it's not saying anything.
We
about
know
the
Adam
character.
Driver is the actor. In it,
Yeah,
so.
we know who he. I never really looked at the guy playing him. Like I know I saw his photo when he was first cast. But we didn't even know that he was Kylo Ren. He was just cast as a villain.
Right.
And so from then on, I'd never looked at what Adam Driver looked like. So seeing him take his mask off was fresh for me. I didn't know what he looked like. And I was surprised by the content of the character with the mask on and then how he looks and sounds with the mask off. It was just like interesting. You know, with Vader and the thing, he sounds like the way he sounds. He takes it off. He's all burnt to a crisp and all that stuff. You know, he looks old and he's very ravaged. You know, Sidious was ravaged. You know, Darth Maul was an alien type person. But then you have this guy, and it's just like interesting.
In a weird way, it's like you can almost relate to him.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That's why he was probably maybe my favorite character in the whole movie. I really, really like Kylo Ren and his arc and everything. It'll be interesting to see where they go with the movie and everything too, going forward with him and everyone else. I did want to talk about just how hard they tried to make sure they use CGI as like a last resort in this movie.
Excellent.
Obviously, the prequels are ridden with. It's the whole movie shot on a blue screen, basically.
Right.
These were real locations for the most part. A lot of them are practical effects, and there's a lot of CG in the movie. Obviously, it has to be.
Yeah, but nowadays you're not going to get a blockbuster that doesn't have CGI, so it's totally acceptable if it's used in the right degree.
Yeah, and this isn't like in-your-face CG. I mean, like most of it is as practical as they can get. What do you guys think of J.J. Abrams trying to bring it back to the originals with the practical effects and everything?
I think from an entertainment level, and because there was so much kind of flack about the first three, the prequels using so much CG, certainly the technology has gotten better. The rendering, all that has really, really improved since they've done that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think paying close attention to the detail of when to use it, how to use it, and there's just some practicality to why you should use it, clearly. But that it gave it a real feel. Like you could, and I didn't see it in 3D. I saw it in 2D.
Yeah, same here.
But the fact that you could almost feel like you could really still reach out and actually touch it. I'm a fan of the show Face Off, which is about makeup and
sci-fi.
And I could see elements of that, and I really appreciated that as an artist. I really, really liked that. So the combination of using things that were real, that were tangible, and the real locations in order to show the strength and the energy that you would even need to use as those characters going through that space made it more realistic. And so I think as a whole, it brought the story together very, very nicely. And the use of CG, I certainly noticed when it happened, but it was not distracting at all.
Yeah, I think it definitely wasn't distracting. You used incredibly well. And like I knew JJ being a fan of Star Wars himself, I knew he was going to take it back to the originals and try and use as much practical effects as possible, real explosions, real locations, actual sets.
Right, instead of just all blue screen.
I think it was Simon Pegg that said being on the Millennium Falcon actual set was like incredibly emotionally moving, and I'm sure it was for a lot of these actors. And it was really cool to actually see a real set for the Millennium Falcon again, and then seeing it fly through the air, obviously CGI, not like the little props, the models that wasn't the thing, but it looked amazing. And
they did build the ship. I mean,
yeah.
that is when it's on the ground, it's a practical. They built the Millennium Falcon. So.
Yeah, but when it's flying, obviously, CGI, but it looked well. It just, everything was good with it. There was nothing bad about the CGI. It was used perfectly, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, that's one of the aspects I think a lot of people will appreciate.
And then you also got the all the aliens. Like, those were prosthetics.
A lot of them
real.
were. Not all of them, but a lot of them were just makeup and stuff like Heather was talking about.
Simon Pegg was actually...
Which one was he?
I don't remember.
I was looking for him because I knew he was in there somewhere, but I was
there was a couple of voices that I recognized, but I couldn't quite pinpoint because they're all aliened out and whatever. But I know that there was a decent amount of cameos from famous stars, and Simon Pegg was one of them.
Yeah. So yeah, but like I was saying, I think that a lot of people, fans of the original trilogy, will definitely appreciate that these are a lot of practical effects, and J.J. Abrams tried his hardest, and you can tell just by every scene how hard they tried to make this as good of a movie as everybody wanted it to be.
Right.
And they wanted to pay homage to the original trilogy. There's no references really at all to the prequels, or the tone is just so different.
Yes.
So if you're worried about this movie being like the prequels, I don't think you should be, because this is nothing like that at all. It's very grungy at some points. You know what I mean? Like the original trilogy was very, a lot of broken robotics and stuff, going around. Where the prequels were very clean, just almost too sterile.
Right. I thought that actually also, though, added nicely to the fact that technically, I guess you could say this is number 7 in the series, right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of see this clean, very medical, very, kind of first 3, the prequels, and then you see, 4, 5, and 6, which become a little bit more grungy. So in a way, the continuity of that, stays the same and continues, which is kind of nice. But I do agree that Abrams, tried to pay homage and bring not just the new fans, but the older fans kind of back into the circle, and kind of let's get excited about this again, which is really fun to see.
Yeah, and that's great. If we could talk a little bit about some flaws in it. Did you guys have anything that stuck out that aren't spoilers that kind of hindered your enjoyment, or you thought, well, that's kind of, I don't know.
Not off the top of my head. I'm going to have to see it again. I'm probably be seeing it Saturday or Sunday again. I'll probably see it 3 times in theaters just because I loved it so much. I was so awestruck.
You were into it.
I was so happy.
You were reacting.
Oh, I was
to
reacting.
Things that happened.
Sitting right next to him, like muttering things under my breath, like, oh no, or this and that. It's just... I need to see it again and actually get a little bit of an analytical view on it, because before it was just, I was straight fanboyed out. I couldn't even. It was ridiculous.
Right.
There were a few things. I agree. I would actually like to see it again. As an engineer, I was looking at some of the technical aspects of it, and I was sitting 6 rows back, which actually was quite comfortable for me. But I know it was shot on film, which was really interesting to me, because there were some scenes that I was like, oh, it's a little grungy. And I'm looking at, the blacks and seeing it's not really, really black. It's a little grainy, which actually I liked, though, because it kind of still, like you said, kind of brought me back to the nostalgia part of it. But as an engineer, I was really curious to see, why did they do that? So they shot it on film, so I appreciate it for that aspect. There were some holes that I was kind of like, if you didn't know the backstory, you might have a little difficulty kind of following. You can definitely pick up some of it. Right. The references that they made to the past were very small. So again, standing as a whole, you could still figure it out. I would like to see it again, though, so I can look at some of those different aspects. But there were some things that I knew I had to assume, that they pointed certain things out and made it very obvious. Like they explained it to the audience, like, look, this is blue, right? But there were other parts that they didn't do that, which is nice to leave me wondering, but it didn't add anything to the wonder. So I had to fill that in. And so there were some things there that, were lacking, but it wasn't anything major.
Right.
There was one thing I do remember. It was a reveal. There was this one pretty big reveal, but it didn't seem that big when they revealed it. It was kind of just laid out there, kind of like nonchalantly, and they kind of just said whatever, and I was just like, "That's the reveal." It didn't feel like it wasn't built up. You know what I mean? It kind of just laid it out, and then it's like, "Wait a second, did he just say what I think he said?" So that was the only thing I kind of wanted, a little bit more of a, hey, big reveal, like boom.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much the only thing so far that I've seen.
Right. One of the last things we'll talk about is going forward. So they've already mapped out these movies, this trilogy. I mean, there's going to be a Star Wars movie like every year now, I guess. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a spin-off. There's Rogue One next year, which is about how the Rebels stole the original Death Star plan. So this is like before Episode 4, I think. But yeah, it's somewhere in.
It bridges the gap between
3 and 4. Yeah, closer to 4. And there's going to be every 2 years there will be Episode 7, Episode 8, and Episode 9. So they know that Rian Johnson, who directed and wrote Looper, Brick, Brothers Bloom, is going to be directing and writing Episode 8. I'm not sure about Episode 9. I heard he was, but I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I heard he was too.
Yeah, but then I heard other rumors about it. So I didn't know for sure Episode 8, Rian Johnson is directing and writing, or at least co-writing. So J.J. Abrams is not going to be on board in a director's role. I think he's staying on as a producer for the next 2 movies. What do you guys think about that going forward? Is that going to affect the quality of the movies? Or do you think that they really just wanted to be as collaborative as possible with this generation of Star Wars fans?
I feel that they want to be collaborative, but I also feel that with Abrams, still at least staying on in some capacity, they'll have good collaboration between them to make sure the continuity stays there.
Yeah.
But I don't mind. I mean, they really have something, I think even you could see from the numbers and from the positive reviews that I've read, that it's a high bar that has been set by Abrams.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that they're going to want to make sure that they maintain that. And I think moving the storyline with, smaller, things here and there will be helpful.
Yeah.
So they can concentrate on the big movies, 8 or 8, 9, and what have you. And so it'll be a high bar. It'll be interesting to see some of the different choices of shots. That'll definitely be different, but I don't think it'll be too much. Just a high expectation that you have to reach that bar.
Yeah, being Rian Johnson right now, you got to be shaking in your boots.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love Rian Johnson, Looper, Brick, some of my favorite movies. It's interesting because I love Rian Johnson. I want to see how he would do Star Wars, but then again, it's J.J. Abrams, knocked out of the park with this one. So I'm nervous because I don't want the tonality to be different. Yeah. Like you said, with continuity. I don't think there's going to be really too much of a problem because he's staying on to produce. But, with different shots, director styles, and how they approach, visual effects might be different. Practical effects might be different. How they handle the actors. So there's a lot of stuff that's kind of up in the air, I think, potentially. But I am interested in seeing it. I just, hopefully we get like, A New Hope and into Empire Strikes Back, with George Lucas doing A New Hope and then Irvin Kershner taking over for Empire Strikes Back. It only got better.
Right.
And obviously I'm not comparing J.J. Abrams to George Lucas because that's like...
apples and oranges, completely.
So,
well,
I
heard THX 1138 is one of your favorite movies. Oh my God.
Never say that again.
Yeah, JK, folks. Oh, God. Yeah. Rian Johnson's got a lot on his plate going forward here, so good luck to him. I'm sure he's excited, but scared at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So I will say that this felt, A New Hope very much feels like its own contained story, and we're talking about the parallels between New Hope and Force Awakens. This one feels just like a third of a piece of a bigger puzzle.
Definitely. Definitely. There's a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, there are, and there should be going forward because we know that there are going to be 2 more movies. At the same time, I wish this one kind of wrapped up a little bit more, so it could be a little bit more self-contained. And I won't say what happens at the end or anything like that, but it just feels a little bit too incomplete sometimes to me. That's maybe one of the only flaws I can see in it, is I wish it was more of its own movie, and making the next 2 sort of their own things as continuations. And this just felt like, just like I said, just a third of a piece instead of its own.
I would say moving forward, I understood that this was, one of 3. So I expected that. I went in knowing it and not necessarily, setting myself up to be completely disappointed. But I would agree with you at the end. There is an area where I feel they could have cut it actually sooner. And I would have been okay with that. And then once you see the movie, you'll understand that there is also a section towards the end where I feel, just from an artist's perspective, they could have started then the second movie with.
I agree.
And that's okay. It's just it's a creative decision. That's fine. But I agree with you on that, Walter. That I think that they could have sort of wrapped it up a little bit more cleanly.
Right.
Yeah, with the final scene, to me it was like right in the middle. Like they cut it in the middle of it. Like either start it in the first or the second movie, start it from that scene all the way, and then take it through, or when you end it on this movie, have something more like a finality with that scene. There wasn't,
definitely not.
There was no finality with that scene.
A little punch in the face would have been nice.
Yeah. I needed a little bit better of a tag, like making me go insane afterwards. You see it, but it was still awesome.
It didn't leave me hanging like, gosh, I can't wait till the second one comes. I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm like, well, okay, here comes the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I just want to see what happens next.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to see the whole story now, which is, I'm sure, intended.
Right.
But at the same time, I do wish it kind of was its own thing, and it just feels like a smaller piece to a bigger puzzle. But other than that, any last thoughts on this?
Got a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes.
95, man.
Wow.
Which is pretty ridiculous.
That's nuts.
One thing I did want to point out, you said that they shot it in film. Certain theaters are actually viewing it in film.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
They're actually doing the film projectors on it, and I would love to see it how it was originally shot. That would be amazing. But I don't know if there's any around here where anybody else is, but that would be amazing to see. Oh, another thing. Big, huge pet peeve. I want to see it in IMAX, but I hate 3D.
But without 3D, yeah, that is
3D.
That is really annoying. That there's no
you can't see it. I've been checking IMAXs. You can't see it.
Yeah, it's all IMAX 3D. It's pretty stupid.
I
would love to see it in IMAX, but yeah, I'm not a fan of 3D. I think it's a distraction. It hurts my eyes, and it's just not my cup of tea.
I think that's fair. I would like to see it in IMAX as well. Like I said, I was 6 rows from the front.
So you were looking.
I was just kind of nicely leaned back, so it wasn't too bad. But I know that there was so much action, which I really, really enjoyed. I'd kind of like to sit back a little bit more to like kind of get a bigger view to see it than so close up. But to wrap up, I mean, go see it. I think it's a really, really great film. I enjoyed it. I had fun watching it, which was so refreshing.
It's important.
It's important just to have fun. I could suspend all of my reality and just be in the story. Yeah. And that's the one thing I also think that was really good about it, is that they maintained the fact that this is also a story. It's a simplistic story for sure. It's good versus evil.
Yeah.
And they stuck with that, which I actually really, really liked. And so in doing that, it was enjoyable. I thought the action was good. The CG was good. Definitely go see it, and see it in the theater. You have to.
Oh, I agree.
Absolutely.
Definitely see it in theaters if you can.
This is not one you wait for.
No.
No, you see it in the theater for sure.
Multiple times.
Yeah. I'll probably see it at least one more time because I do want to analyze it a little bit more. So I agree with you guys on that point. Scores. It's tough for me to do that this first time out, but like initial impressions out of 10, what do you think you guys would give it? Porter, what do you think?
At least a 9.
At least a 9. So you're going with a 9
I gotta see it
right
again.
now?
I come with a little bit less fanboy eyes, more analytical. But I'm probably gonna stick with 9, maybe a 9.5 if I see it again. But it's definitely a 9.
Okay, Heather, what do you think?
I would probably give it an 8.5.
Okay.
And I want to see it again. There are some plot holes that I was that kind of left me a little about, but an 8.5, which is actually really high. I looked at it, from a technical standpoint and from a story standpoint. I would like to see it again. That actually might go up.
Right. Okay. I'm about like in between you guys. I think I'm at like a high 8 or a low 9. So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and give it a 9 for now, like a straight 9.
Yeah.
Almost like an 8.8, something like that. But I'm at about a 9. But I will definitely see it again to look at it more and to analyze the different things that happen in it. So, but yeah, go see it, man. If you're a Star Wars fan, if you're intrigued at all and you've never been in a Star Wars before, go see the movie. I mean, there's enough in it where you'll understand what's going on for the most part, and then it'll, I think, make you want to go back and watch the original trilogy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, don't ever watch the prequels first. I have people who are like, I hate Star Wars. I'm like, why? Well, I watched the episodes 1, 2, and 3. It's like, no, you can't be introduced to Star Wars that way.
No.
You have to watch the original trilogy first, which is episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Absolutely.
So definitely go watch those first. Okay, well, that's going to be it for Real Reviews, guys. It's been a good run. It's been about 2 years since I've been doing this. It's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of laughs. Porter, you've been on a lot of episodes and everything. Heather, you've been behind the scenes a lot, helping out with these kind of things. So
but I do feel honored to be at the last one.
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for helping for so long and dealing with all the issues that we're
going to miss you for sure,
for sure. Thanks a lot. So, I still go ahead and like the Facebook page if you want. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll see what happens going forward if we'll bring it back for specials once in a while maybe. But for now, this is definitely going to be the ending of the regular Real Reviews episodes and everything. So if you've been following me for this long, I really appreciate it. I know sometimes we have a lot of views, like on some choice videos, and sometimes we don't. A lot of the time we don't. But if you have been watching, thank you very much. I appreciate you trusting me with your movie reviews. I know a couple people who have told me that, I watch your reviews before I go see a movie. I'm like, really? Oh, okay. So thank you very much for that. Keep an eye out for me and Porter. Maybe we'll be making some more videos on another channel sometime soon. So just keep an eye out for that. Go over to the Koten Studios YouTube channel because I'll still try to put up some reviews here or there once in a while. So that will be where you can catch me immediately after this. But thank you so much for watching, everybody. For Heather Penn, for my pal Bryan Porter, go ahead and turn it on. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
May the Force be with you.
Want to hold it?
Oh, sure.
There you go.
Yes. May the Force be with you, everybody.
Always.
Always. Yes. So until I see you again, I'll see you at the movies. Don't stop going to the movies. Goodbye, everybody.